Right. I'm good, right? Am I good? You sure? You sure? Sure. All right. Okay, good deal. Um, Hi, y'all. Hey, just want to say super thanks for showing up and coming out and visiting the pyramid. These guys got everything crappie that I could imagine out on the shelf. I know I got a boatload of stuff already, but there's a few things I need to pick up before I get going. Anyway, thanks for coming out. My name's Ronnie Capps. My partner Steve Coleman. We've been after him for a long while, and we have migrated from no technology actually to the latest technology is mind-boggling, so to speak. But anyway, we could probably relate to anything crappie that you have for us, one way or another, whether it's been back in the old days or right up to today. And we're still learning for sure ourselves. But we mainly fish the American Crappie Trail anymore. We have fished all the Crappie USA events and Crappie Master events and anything in the competitive crappie world. We've been there once or twice, at least, and at least twice. But carrying us through all those tournaments it really basically gave us a lot of experience on different places and different lakes. And we've traveled a lot of miles in hard weather and very good weather, and most time hard weather. We get a chance to fish a tournament. It's always bad weather, but when you do that, it really helps you learn a whole lot how to catch them either in the good conditions and bad. And we can tell you experiences we've had from a lot of different places all over the country, and we really wish you'd ask some questions, and we'd love to fire back at you with some of our answers or kind of how we deal with things and how we catch fish in very hard conditions, and when the getting's good, how we manage that too. So if you got anything in mind today that you want to know about, we're gonna ramble like we have all weekend, basically about crappie, and we may be talking about boats and how we set our boat up for fishing more than one pole, multi-pole fishing, or single pole fishing. We can do pretty well all of it. Dock shooting, side pull. We don't side pull much, but that's probably one that we'd rather go fish out of the front and the back than we had out of the side. But got some friends that do very well with it, no doubt. But B&M has been the headline sponsor to put us here today, and B&M pole company's been in business a long time. They've really listened to us on product. The product line they carry is very numerous as far as how many different types of rods they have for different techniques of fishing, and not only types but lengths. The lengths of rods sometimes is a huge deal. Dealing with a long pole versus a short one sometimes is a whole lot less fun. However, at the end of the day, you're probably more productive, covered more real estate, and others, them short rods will pay dividends too. So if there's any questions you have about rods, about anything at all crappie, we'd love to hear from you. So think about something we can help you. Even if it's the Garmin, I know some people will want to talk about that. We might learn something ourselves. We hadn't been under. We had about 6 months, I guess, worth of experience on ours, and can't wait to get it back going here in a few weeks on the tournament trail. But we might be able to learn something from you. How many? I'm just curious. Anybody got a Garmin yet? The live scope, running live scope, got one. Anybody else? That's it. All right. So how long you had it? About a year. You way ahead of us. I'm gonna listen. I need to get you up here. Right. Well, I never thought we'd see what we're getting ready to catch, but yep, it's true. Chasing crappie down and seeing exactly what's going to happen and watching him bite the hook is pretty neat. I have to say, without a doubt. But yeah, I'll do my best to answer any question. Do you have a question right off? All right, I figured you would. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically trying to hybridize the tech. Yeah.
You know, 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 you know,
Yeah, well, the number was, I told someone the other day, we, in that tournament, we caught about 46 fish that day, and about 40 of them we knew we was going to catch. The other 6 was accidents, and the 6 we caught accidentally, I don't know where they come from, probably come from behind us and bit, but I never seen them before they bit, and consequently, one of the 6 was the biggest one we caught all day. So I do believe that having a multi-pole set out helped us in that regard. Them 6 that we caught, we'd have never caught, more than likely, and one of them was a Vespa. So there you go. But we did get beat in sight of a guy that was fishing with one pole, and it all comes down to the 7 big fish you weigh in, and ours wasn't as big. All I got to tell you, they caught about 17.5 pound stringer. We had about 13.5 pounds. But if you take 3 fish, 3 bites, 2 bites actually down Grenada, it'll make up the difference, the right ones. And we just didn't get them. We didn't see them. After I realized what I was seeing, and we started being able to recognize crappie for sure, we would really try our best, especially had any size to it, to stay with that fish. And it consumed a lot of time for us to catch a fish. And it was hard for us to leave one if we thought he was the right size. And so we burned a lot of time, trying to catch each one sometimes. And it cost us. I just didn't catch the right ones. That's it. I don't know. I can't wait to try it out in the spring. So have you been able to chase them down one pole? Are you trying to come? Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were pushing. We used to, trying to cover ground in Grenada or some of these Mississippi lakes. We typically use a minnow rig. I mean, everybody does. And, you cover in water column, vertical, and covering a lot more water with 2 baits versus 1. That's just common knowledge. But we were pushing just 1 to be able to cover ground fast, looking for fish. I'm scanning pretty fast with that thing, and those jigs, you got to be careful. They'll be hung in your trolling motor. That's how fast we're moving. And we're not trying to catch a fish. We're just leaving the bait in the water and moving. We're really covering a lot of ground, and we'd see a fish, then start managing the boat to put a hook right on it. And by having those in the water, if the fish happen to be on the left, Steve, he's already got a bucket. We don't have to worry about baiting, pitching, whatever. The bait's there. We just got to put it in front of him. And I felt like I was saving a little time doing that versus trying to pitch to one. And and let alone the fact that we caught 6 we didn't know he was going to catch 2. So we're going to try the same thing again this year. So we'll see how it goes. But I think you can back off of the number of rods. Maybe 4, 5, or 6 is a good number. But having them out, I still think it's an advantage. We'll see. Anything else? I'll tell you what I know about so far. Have you been able to determine species with it, old carp or a catfish or buffalo, or pick them out? Shad for sure. Everybody can pick out the shad balls. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
What size weights do you use when you're trolling? Do you change your weight sizes in different places?
Usually we'll stay the same unless the weather determines that sometimes too. But I'll always be in the habit of fishing as light as possible. You're definitely gonna get more bites. And you have to just consider the amount of ground you think you need to cover at the end of the day, I guess, too. And find a happy medium. I'd rather fish light, 10 to 1, if I know where I'm gonna put my bait and there's the right fish there. But it really comes down sometimes to covering ground, and the weight size to cover some real estate at the end of the day. If I'm minnow rigging, I may go up to a 3/4 or even an ounce if I'm trying to cover a lot of ground. On the other hand, if I'm in a small area, maybe a lot of structure where there's the right fish, and I know that I'm not going to cover a lot of ground, I'll be trying to use like 3/8 or 1/4 even. I'll be slowing down really fast from going really fast at all. I'll be creeping, sometimes inching, sometimes just setting still on some structure and stuff like that. But Yeah, so that's two different things.
What
Going,
speed do you use?
well, I've been known to go 1.2, 1.3 in the upper side and 0 on the lower side, so anything in between. My favorite speed is 0.3 to 0.4, 0.5 maybe. This time of year, you better be on down there near non-registering side. You know, when your GPS won't register, you probably do better. I know at my home lake you will right now with the water temperature as cold as it is. Creeping, I mean dead creeping, going slow. So anyway, hope that helps you out. But I have been known to probably even go faster than that. You know, in like the fall of the year when you got some warm water temperatures, and if the fish don't want to bite you, they'll ease up and maybe grab a hold of the end of the minnow. You'll see the bite, but he won't be on the hook, kind of thing. And when they're doing that, the answer, our best answer, would be to speed up to try to get a strike, a reaction bite versus a scent bite. Don't give him a chance to nibble on it. Make him bite it if he's going to bite it. If not, move right along and try to find the next one. But that's worked for us. We won a national championship at Grenada one year, fishing a 2-ounce egg sinker. We was rolling. I don't remember exact speed, but we was going over a mile an hour. We was rolling. And, you know, had a lot of people fishing around us. They was going a whole lot slower. And we come out on top doing that one time. But basically let the fish tell you what's going on. That's what I'd suggest. You catch one a certain way, man, try to mimic it. Keep going. All right, y'all, any questions about, yes, sir. Good. I do, yeah. I've been asked that too already. The Garmin, it did take up a whole lot of slack from our 360. It's an excellent piece of technology for finding structure just as well as it is fish. You already know that if you've seen or been in the boat with one. But prior to the Garmin, I always run my 360 on 60 foot. That's kind of a favorite of mine because, you know, it's increments of 15, 30, 45, and 60 on the grid. So I'm fishing 14-foot poles. I know the first ring is 15, so I know exactly when my bait's about to get to the structure or to the fish, whatever I'm putting my hook on. So anymore, I've run mine up to 95. And I'm really just using now the 360 for finding long distance structure. That's it. If we see a stump out there 95, 100 foot, you know, just coming on, I'll start going toward it. Structure equals fish typically. However, my Garmin, I'm running it on about 45 foot. I do all the close range work with the Garmin now versus the 360. So it has taken the place of what I used to use the 360 for. So you running a 360 as well? No. Well, we thought that was the best thing on earth when we got it, and now it's not. But it's still very helpful, very, very helpful. I'm using a 360 long distance now. Yeah. You know, you can run it out there past that, but sometimes structure gets to be, it's hard to pick out what you're looking at if you run it out that far. But we actually switched places with our units on the bow. Our Garmin is up front and center now, where it didn't used to be. So times are changing. I'm changing with it. I wish I had a little more experience behind the Garmin, but I don't. But it won't be long. We'll be after it. And, I know that the technology probably hit the market a couple of years ago, and I don't know how we didn't find out about it. It's almost like the spinning wing decoy and duck hunting. It's like, why didn't I find out about this a little quicker? But honestly, those guys have had it for a while. They're very well versed at using it now. Very good at it, for sure. I don't know, hope that helped. Yeah. How tall? Yeah. You know, some guys up there near Murray, Kentucky, are making cornfield crappie gear, are making some custom mounts. And they made our mounts for all of our units. And they very well work great. Some of the ram mounts, some of the mounts they have here are great as well. I suggest getting something you can adjust. Every so often, you're going to want to adjust that thing from the sunlight, for whatever reason. It just needs to be adjustable.
Y'all get it up as high as you
Yeah, it depends on if you're going to sit or stand. And at this point, we're still sitting. I don't know that we'll ever stand, but I could see where we could be fine doing that. I just, at the end of the day, we do better work sitting down. And there's a lot of, especially if we're going to hybridize this technique, we got to remain in that seat because it's just a lot. We're like clockwork in that seat. But when you start standing up, we're getting in each other's way across the boat. It's a lot of clutter there with us standing up. So I don't see us standing up. We're working on it. How about that? Yeah, I think we're gonna remain seated. But we'll see. If you see me standing, boy, you know it's bad out there. Something's really going on. No. So anyway, I am amazed, and if you hadn't had y'all don't have a Garmin or been with somebody that's had one, live scope. Sooner or later, you'll get in the boat with somebody, and then you have to talk to Santa Claus like we did. They're pretty expensive, but not so much actually these days, considering all the stuff we buy, for sure. Okay, any other questions, y'all? I can answer. Yeah.
Kind of oxygen spectrum of electronics.
Okay.
So when y'all go to new water, you go to a new lake, how do you break down where you're going to fish all that? Do you look at stuff before you even hit the water? Or are y'all going out and scamming?
Yeah.
I'm kind of limited on my time too, so I can't
Sure.
spend half a day running around looking at the little bit I got.
Sure.
Do y'all look at stuff before you even hit the water? Different points, stuff like that?
I guess it all goes back to if we've ever been to the lake or not before. One we've never been to before is kind of a favorite. We do enjoy going to new places, which we don't have many new ones to go to anymore. We've always been there before, so we're kind of biased about that answer. But right away, we're not looking for particular things like pick out a top and find a fish kind of thing. We're looking at the way the layout of the lake, whether it's a reservoir, whether it's a natural lake is a biggie, but the time of year. But a huge factor for us is watercolor. I eyeball water real close. We both look at it very hard, and there's some water that I just don't like to fish in, and then there's water that there's got to be one here kind of water, fish, fishing water. But and any lake you go to typically will have a variety of different colors of water. So sometimes we'll right away take off riding, looking for the right watercolor. Believe it or not, that's you probably wouldn't expect that answer, but we've done that. Just to recall one lake, Beaver Lake in Arkansas. Never been there in my life till we had a tournament there, and right away we realized, this is too clear for me, and so we take off riding, and then we go up in one of these big long branches of the lake, and right away the algae growth got there was a lot more green tint to the water. And the further we went, the greener it got. I'm like, we had my kind of crappie water right away. So and eventually I think we ended up doing very well in the tournament up in that branch. So in that regard, try to compare the water you see to some of the water you've seen in other lakes where you've done very good. Believe it or not, there will be branches of the lake, just like I'm from Reelfoot Lake. It's a natural lake, but there's basins there that are a little more fertile than other ones, believe it or not. The algae growth's a little better. For whatever reason, the runoff has always gained our interest because of the soup, if you will, the nutrients that comes in from runoff. And typically a basin that gets a big runoff, just like Grenada Lake or Sardis, it gets really, really muddy. But I'm
last year, and I hadn't gone. Got comfortable on it and hadn't tried. Really ran
Yeah. You know, people complain and it's too muddy and all this and that, but honestly, that richness that's brought into those lakes is really what makes them so fertile here.
I caught more fish earlier on in the year last year when it's 20 foot over pool than it did later on.
Right. Yeah. Well, they had a good year to feed up as much acreage as they had to cover for sure back in there. Should be good and fat. So anyway, I hope I helped you out there. But watercolor is a biggie for us. There's among other things. But those creek channels will always produce. Just find one where you can, according to the color of the water, how deep you can fish, and kind of find a happy medium there. I don't like to fish very deep in muddy water for sure, but they'll always follow some sort of contour, always fence row, whatever. So that kind of structure in conjunction with some good water, man, you ought to find some fish pretty quick. Yeah. Okay. Anything else y'all can answer question-wise about the lake? Yep.
Have you ever fished over there in the village, Cherokee Village area?
Cherokee Village. Where's that?
North Arkansas, near Oregon, you know?
Hardy, Arkansas. I fished on some of the oxbows over there before around Hardy. Don't know the name of them.
And go up, they got like 7 acres.
Yep. Is it a river oxbow or just a reservoir or what?
I'm not even sure.
Yep.
It looks literally like some old man put a drawing down there and had a kid just draw lines and they cut roads and
All right.
they have like I know they got 7 lakes through there.
Yeah.
They're not really
Definitely the state as a whole, Arkansas is very rich in fishing lakes for sure. I know we fished the Arkansas River before, Conway, Arkansas, and Conway's pretty well a favorite of ours if we ever get to go back there again. But so just curious, where is the furthest traveler I got today from here today? Anybody make it from how far? Ohio. All right. Where? Let's see. We fished. We won a national championship one year at Caesars Creek, Kings Island, one year in Ohio. You ever did that?
That's closer to us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually half an hour down the road from this big.
Well, that was a pretty little stretch, pretty good stretch for us to travel to Cincinnati as well. That's been a while back. That's been a long while.
Stump.
Yep. So you ever fish that lake, Caesars Creek? Yeah. Yeah.
I do Caesars and I do Brookwood Lake, Indiana.
Has it got any big fish in there?
Caesars
Caesars
Creek.
Creek.
Yeah.
There's,
Like 1 pound. One pound's a monster.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a gravel pit right next to my house. I caught one of those.
Yeah. Well, no. We got to get to Caesars
Do
Creek.
you remember the weight on that?
Oh, it's about
5.64.
probably roundabout. That's right. We know if you call a 12-inch crappie at Caesars Creek was top of the line crappie.
It must be now, or you must be.
I won't ever forget preparing for that lake, and I was able to get some krill surveys from the DNR, and we had a real close look at some of that, and some of the big end fish was 12 inches long. And I'm like, that's just what we're looking for, one that weighs a pound. And I don't think it weighed a pound. Actually, a 12-inch fish didn't weigh a pound, like less than a pound. But
It changes quite a bit. They use Indiana.
right.
They use some dredging.
Well, that's a big shocker when you come from Mississippi or Tennessee and Arkansas and go fish for that size fish.
Most guys don't know, yes.
Yep. So I vaguely remember it was about June, and we were minnow rigging at about 25 foot of water on a couple different stumps. We won that tournament on 2 stumps over a 2-day period, and most all the fish were males. It would have been on the big end. There's a big basin. We were toward the dam from right out in the big old flat and a couple of big stumps out there. It was about 25 foot of water. So I remember that. Yep. Okay, so Ohio's gonna be the good deal. Most everybody from close by. Mississippi. Alabama. You ever fish Gadsden, the Coosa River area? Well, that's a great great place. I always thought maybe there'd be a world record if one was going to be caught in the public water to be out of the Coosa River system.
They got a lake break nets, and they had a small property down there 2 years ago. Had about, I think they had about 60 or 70 teams out there. And over there, we were talking about looking for stumps and stuff like that. Well, there's one whole area where there's like a tree just sticking out.
Big fish.
I didn't get to go over it. I didn't fish over there much, but
Right.
if I did fish, it was like those little runoff fish come off.
We've seen some big. There's a hybrid fish that lives on the Coosa River. Logan Martin, Neely Henry, and the Weiss Lake. That chain of lakes down that Coosa River is very unique to us, and should be to any crappie fisherman that's ever been down there. That river system, for whatever reason, probably has more of a hybrid. There's more numbers of hybrid fish, hybridized natural cross fish. I'm talking hybrid between the white and the black mix, and they're pretty easy to tell when you see them. The scale pattern, they won't have all the vertical bars. They'll be a little different as far as the way they look, and they grow really fast. But one tournament we fished at Gadsden, they weighed a 412 live, really live hybrid 412, and that's probably the biggest crappie I've ever seen alive in a tournament. That was a true 4-pound crappie, and caught it right there in Canoe Creek on Neely Henry Lake. And I thought, man, they got a 4-pounder. They probably got one bigger. And I know we've caught some 3s down there. The biggest black crappie I've ever weighed in a tournament was like a 303 down there at Gadsden. And I know they have a big crappie right here, but I'm telling you, that hybrid fish that's running the Coosa River has got potential for setting another record. Unless it's caught in a farm pond or situation or some private lake, I tell you that Coosa River's got way big potential for setting a new world record, for sure. Okay, any other questions, y'all? I know I'm really rambling. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So on current,
Yep.
whatever normal is for whatever reservoir, they ramp it up, open the gates.
Yep.
What do black crappie do? How do they respond?
Yeah.
Getting out of the current, I know that. But where would you go?
He asked, when you have a lot of current hit a reservoir, what to do kind of thing. And I can tell you that happens at Neely Henry too. We dealt with that down there. But the black species versus the white species, the white is much more aggressive to run up current than a black. A black will almost sit down and stay right. He'll stay put. But a white one will run up current. 10 to 1. Now, not to say you won't find plenty of black crappie in current, but they usually just basically sit down. I mean, we've seen situations where we were in some totally all black crappie. I'm running right back to Reelfoot. It's not a reservoir, it's a natural lake, but we do get some current from time to time out of Reelfoot Creek. It'll start running, and totally black crappie. And that was a week prior to the tournament. There wasn't a white crappie within a mile where we were fishing, and we were expecting to catch all blacks. And when if we was going to win, we was going to win with black. They were the biggest ones at Reelfoot. If you catch you catch them at the right time of year for sure. So we went back in there. First tournament when we had a flood, rain. Water had done colored up quite a bit, but not so bad that we couldn't still catch a few fish. But what we caught was almost exclusively white. After that current started flowing, the black ones just sat down and shut down pretty much on us. We was catching the white ones that had come from who knows where. We didn't catch a white crappie within a mile of that place, 2 miles of it. And we done a lot of fishing around it. And here they come just with the sensitivity of the flowing water. And I know at Grenada and Sardis, these white crappie will run up that current. If their body cannot be out of the water, they'll go up it. When the Yallabusha and the Schooner River just getting high enough in the spring to even navigate with even a mud motor or basically inches deep, you can go up through there, and if you go up through there with a mud motor, you're gonna run some crappie out on the bank more often than not. So a white one will definitely run the current quicker than a black one will. Most times they will just set down and shut down a lot of times. Any kind of water quality change, they're real sensitive. I think a white would be a lot less sensitive to it than a black one would, in my opinion. Now, way up the Schooner River in the fall of the year when the water's clear and the water's low, them blackfish are biting. They'll bite fine up there. But boy, it's hard to catch one when it's muddy, and when it's not clear. I'll say that. I don't know that they're just very hard to catch when it gets that way. So hope that helps. I don't know. I kind of relate to situations just like that one, and I have seen unbelievably shallow water where the white ones will go here. It's amazing when a reservoir fluctuates a huge amount, how far fish will go, as opposed to Reelfoot Lake, where we live, or a reservoir that don't fluctuate. Our fluctuation is about a couple feet, maybe. What's your data? 25 feet, more than that. When you have a huge fluctuation, fish will go far. When you have a tiny fluctuation, fish are reluctant to move at all. They'll move a little, but they know where home's at, and they won't travel near as far. That's one reason we can't hardly do so good at home wading. I love to wade. We'll catch some males around the bank when we do get a really, really high water in the spring, but for the most part, they stay put right where they were when you could have caught them right now at home. So that's my take on a reservoir versus a natural system that fluctuates versus non-fluctuating. They won't move far. Worst thing you can ever do is fish cold, muddy water. Get away from that, for sure. Find you some nice water that's stable with, reasonable color and stable water. I know we're getting a bunch of rain coming. It wouldn't be my choice to start out on the upper end with a bunch of fresh water on any place, anytime, really. Okay, I got some new people in here. I know some questions for sure. We're running an answer question kind of seminar and hopefully help you catch a few more fish. If you got anything that comes to mind, we'd be glad to tell you what we think or try to answer a question or two.
What is your best rig?
Well, he just asked me, right? Look at this lady. Look at her. She's already got the answer. She got the answer for you. Me and Steve started out with almost cane poles and string lead ball to find the bottom and find out how deep it was or how hard the bottom was. And those rigs, that double minnow rig really is where we started. And it was just the way Reelfoot rigs, what everybody called it. I mean, we grew up at Reelfoot. I mean, we started fishing with that rig, and it has it's been with us, I guess, more than 33 years, because that's how long we can document we've been fishing with trophies or whatever. But that rig can be altered to fish as deep or as shallow as you want to fish. If you're a careful fisherman, you can fish some really heavy structure with that thing even. If I had to pick one thing in the whole wide world to go catch some fish, as long as I was going to be allowed to use minnows, it'd be that double rig. We've won more national championships with that double minnow rig than anything else, without a doubt.
Do you ever fish
The largest,
just jigs?
excuse me?
Do you ever fish just jigs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was getting ready to tell you that. The largest stringer that's ever been weighed with a 10-fish stringer, we caught on 8-ounce jig, single, with 8-pound line on BGJP, 14-footers. And we caught them at Grenada Lake. That was the record. It will never be broken. It was 10 fish, because we weigh 7 now. No. I can't really remember the weight, but there was maybe a couple that was touching 3, one like a 323.
I think it's 2864 or something.
10 fish, 28. It was about near a 2.9 average overall, and I know there was one male in the group. So we did catch those straight jig fishing. But most of the ones that we've won, the Ohio one I know for sure was minnow rigging. The Grenada one, we've minnow rigging. Our Ross Barnett, we've been minnow rigging. We've won 8 national championships over our career, and most everyone's been won with a minnow rig.
What about the size of the minnow?
Yep, that'll change sometimes according to the year, time of the year, and also the size of the fish. This time of year, I'll run on up on a little bit bigger minnow. If I'm out at Grenada, maybe a 3-inch, 3.5-inch sometimes right now. You know, early in the spring, they'll gobble up a pretty big bait. If I were to go down here in July or August, it'd be a little bit different. I'd start downsizing on my minnow size. For a few reasons. Fish are not, they don't need the energy. They don't need to eat a big bait post-spawn. They need to eat one prior to, like pre-spawn, like now. And definitely they'll gobble up a bigger bait. But after the spawn, they're just in survival mode. They're trying to recoup. They're not going to spend a whole lot of energy to catch a big bait, to gobble up a big bait. The water temperature's higher. They don't need as much energy. A bunch of reasons why you ought to start downsizing to maybe a 2.5-inch minnow versus one that's 3.5 or so. I know that's not much, but it is to a crappie. But when the temperature gets hot, you can start downsizing. You'll do a lot better. Not only does the crappie not want to bite it, the minnow will stay a lot more active on you. The smaller that little minnow is, the less oxygen it requires him to move, and he'll move faster for you than a big minnow will. You'll get a lot more activity out of a small minnow, believe it or not. That's an important factor, really, is how you bait these rigs and the size minnows. So we really like to lip hook our minnows. We'll hook them right through the ends of the lips. We'll be selective when we reach in a minnow bucket to get a minnow. It's out of habit. It's out of a lot of experience, but if he's too big, I'll chuck him in the lake. If he's too little, I'll probably chuck him in the lake. It's kind of a hand grading technique that we both have. When we grab a minnow and he's the right size, it's automatic. We already know that's the one we need. Simply because you really can't buy the grade you want most of the time. When you go to the bait store, they're always mixed up. You'll have a lot of small ones, a lot of big ones. Who knows? You might have a huge mix, and you basically we may buy twice as many minnows as we really need just to get some of the ones we want, you know, out of the group. We may buy 5 pounds of minnows and only use 1.5 pounds of the right size. We've got our own personal way to grade those things prior to a tournament. Sometimes it saves us a lot of time with some grid systems. We'll put it in a cooler, and that does help out some. But really, we do a lot of that by our hand and touch the minnow. But picking the right size is pretty important.
You run an aerator with it all the time?
Yes, sir. We will run an aerator, and this time of year, aerators are great. Any of the Engle buckets or any of the buckets by Frable, there's a lot of really nice buckets here that will get you by this time of year, no problem. It'll be a little bit more tricky in June and July when it really gets hot using an aerator. So we use pure oxygen year-round with a controlled flow of pure oxygen, and we really don't have to worry about it year-round. And that's our method for keeping them alive, and we really don't have to worry about it. It's more expensive for sure, but it'll work whether it's 100 degrees or 10 degrees. It doesn't matter. Use the pure oxygen, but still, the buckets are hard to beat this time of year and on up through the spawn for sure. If you start carrying a whole lot of bait, that's when oxygen really pays dividends. Many times we'll go to a tournament, we'll carry 25 pounds of bait for the week. And, you know, we can expect to kill quite a few of those, have to grade a few of those out, you know. But we typically take 25, and not to mention our buddies won't get some because they couldn't get the right size. That happens all the time. So we have to share them, and that kind of thing happens. But that's a standard of ours. We'll buy 25 pounds at one time, and we got like 120 quart coolers with pure oxygen systems, and we'll put those actually in the back of the truck. We'll carry 2 vehicles, and sometimes most often 2 boats. So we got a load of stuff when we take off. We're pretty serious about trying to catch some crappie, and it's a pretty serious thing if you're gonna live bait fish to keep them good and live.
When do you change from using minnows to jigs?
Never. If it's legal to fish a minnow or some sort of natural scent, you better bet I got one on there. How about that? If I was gonna fish one pole down the shoreline and have fun with you in a small boat just for fun, I wouldn't need them in at all. But I'm pretty confident that a natural scent of any kind is a help, especially when you got more than one rod in the water. I'll just go out on that. Not to say that you can't probably beat my tail sometimes with just one pole without any bit of scent. I'm just saying, more often than not, having some natural scent on there is going to help you get more bites at the end of the day. We love to fish waxworms, the little mealworms, between the time the males start to get a little color to them, all the way up through June, which is about the time the spawn's gets over with. The male will still be on the nest. They'll be really black by then, or starting to actually lose color. But that window of time between the time they start to color up and the time they start losing color, a waxworm is so effective. It's really effective. I don't. It'll be only waxworms. And we won the tournament at Ross Barnett last year, tipping our jigs with waxworms. We was using single jigs, and the catfish got so bad on us there. One time we had to switch to minnows. Catfish love them too. Everything loves waxworms, bluegill included. But if you get too many bites, sometimes you got to get that waxworm off, maybe go back to a minnow or something. But this worked for us 2 years running down in Ross Barnett. We've won that tournament 2 years in a row, and both times we've been using light line, single jig, tipped with waxworms. It just coincidentally, it hit right in the time, the window when the fish were starting to color up, about the time the spawn was happening. And
What about that artificial scent stuff?
great stuff. There's all kinds of varieties back here, and I recommend any of it versus nothing. Those little crappie nibbles that Berkeley puts out, Crappie Magnet makes some slab bites. There's quite a few different varieties back here. There's a lot of different ones. You pick your favorite and go with it. But I'm telling you, day in and day out, having some scent will help you. It'll help you. It will. So try that. Let me know next year, okay? All right. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about your P-line?
The P-line. Well, we don't use P-line anymore, and I've had some good and bad experiences with P-line. Regarding line, your best choice for crappie fishing, doing the methods we've been talking about right here so far this hour, is to go with a monofilament line. I don't care what brand it is. Choose your own, whatever you're happy with. Just go mono versus a fluorocarbon or a fluorocarbon coated. Go mono. The main reason being that monofilament will stretch for you. You do not want to fish a line that won't stretch in crappie fishing. That's my take. I get beat by guys that fish non-stretching line, but this is my answer, not theirs. It's worked for us, and I'm telling you, you'll break off less times. You'll lose less fish if you use a line that'll stretch. The whole system needs to flex, being the pole, the line, the hook even. You'll catch more fish with a flexing system than you will one that's rigid. Slime Line makes our line, the line that we use now after, it's been about 2 years now since we introduced our thoughts and to those boys to make a line for us that it's called Super Stretch, by the way. And it's Slime Line Super Stretch. Those, the main guy, he says, man, if that's what you want, I'll make you some samples and so we've been 2 years in getting to where we are, but it is on the market now, and it's Slime Line Super Stretch. Very, very, in my opinion, the best stretchability, if you will, to a line coupled with abrasion resistance, both. It's very hard to have both. You can have one or the other. I think it's some of both. So if you get a chance, give it a shot against whatever you like. Let me know. Yeah. We have used P-line before and done very well in the past. The last experience I had with P-line cost me an event at Truman Lake, Missouri. I broke 2 fish off, both of them. put both of them together, and it probably could have put us right in the winter seat. And I said, never again. Excuse me.
What size, weight?
It was
size?
6 pound. It was 6 pound floral clear P-line, and we bought it from a local store there. Just crossing our fingers, it'd be good fresh supply versus what we had. It cost us big time on that. This won't happen again ever. And, so it hadn't. So that's my take on P-line. But okay, any other questions, y'all? Yep.
Y'all are fishing again, which seems to be a tournament.
Fish and win, yeah.
Real foot, reservoir.
Yep.
Y'all tend to fish with the wind or in the wind?
Yep, you know both. My answer is going to be both. If I'm trying to fish direct structure, we're probably going to be facing into the wind 99% of the time, just to be able to precisely hold it right where I need it. If I'm covering a flat just at random stump, I'm just going to go with the wind and try to pull towards stumps that I see that's in my range. If you start going downwind and you've got some resistance behind you, be it power poles, be it chain, be it whatever the resistance might be, it's very hard to pull very far one way or another. Because what will happen, you'll start grabbing more air, more wind, and you'll go faster than you want to, and it really don't work out so well. So you kind of got to be careful how far you pull left or right. But you sure can go straight away and do very well. You just basically got to pick up what's in front of you. And all that still, my answer depends on the wind speed. Huge. There's been times when we fished direct structure in a tornado style wind with a chain and won. That's an extreme though. Most of the time I'm gonna turn around and face it. Yep, I'll face it. Whatever it takes to get the hook in the spot. How about that? Yep. Okay. Any other questions, y'all? Crappie? Yep. Anything? Come on, I know you got some.
What determines
Yep.
jig color?
What determines jig color? He said, you know, we got some favorites that we'll pull out of the hat just about every time in the right time of year. If you put something in the water without chartreuse in it and don't give that a fair chance, you need to. It'll be our choice to give that a shot. But the watercolor would have a big factor on maybe what we would put out to get started with. The lake, believe it or not, has a different attitude sometimes, and that in itself, just out of our past history, would be something we'd just remember. I'm sure, like going to Lake of the Ozarks, you better try some blue and white. You know, it's pretty clear water, and that's a biggie up there for everybody, and always has been. You go down to Grenada, you better get some orange on it, right? Orange and chartreuse is hard to beat on some of these Mississippi lakes. Go to Real Foot Lake, lime and chartreuse is our favorite. You get in the middle of the spawn when those fish are coloring up, like I told you earlier, with a little bit of the color to the males. You can start trying darker colors like a blue and purple we love during the spawn. It's pretty hard to find, but it's a deep blue on the front and a purple skirt, purple tail, tentacles on a tube. We love to use that. It's made by a couple of the different companies. I know Mid-South makes it, Southern Pro makes it. You can get it, you might have to request to get it, but it's a blue and purple. We call it blurple, how about that? But if the male crappie are colored up, they really like to go for that color. I'll couple that with a hot candy pink head. It'll really pop for you. It'll stand out with that pink head, purple. I'm telling you, it's pretty hard to beat at home or anywhere we go when the fish are in the spawning mode.
You always fish a pink head?
We fish it a lot. No, sir, we fished a nickel. We fished lead, no color whatsoever. We fished black, but I'll tell you, most often anymore, pink is our favorite. I'll stay with that and I'll combine different things with it. But if we're gonna fish artificial with some color, hot candy pink, I don't know. It made a statement with us way back when. I got a story about that, if you'd like to hear it. Anyway, long story. But it was definitely being picked out among a set of rods, no matter where you put it on one of our lakes we fished. And I'm like, wow, how can they find, I mean, wow, what, is it that much more effective? And yes, it was. You could put it on the far right, middle, you put the pole in the worst spot and they'd bite it among 7 more. I'm like, this is pretty serious. So you can bet we had all of them pink next trip. So anyway, kind of let the fish tell you what happens and go from there. But I've been very successful with that pink.
And does the shape of the head matter?
Well, we're very, very reluctant to use anything other than a round head. We go slow. There's all sorts of shapes. You can get some heads that'll make all kinds of vibration if you want to pull them faster. There's all kinds of variety, but we still old-fashioned about that. We'll run a round lead head most all the time. Most all the time. It'll roll around a lily pad stem and not get hung up, just like it's supposed to, I think. And when it'll do that, keep us unhung a lot of times. That's a biggie. So we're right in the middle of the structure most any time we're fishing. But so hope that helps you out.
Yep.
For sure. Yep. Any other questions, y'all, at all?
You troll with 6-pound test line all the time?
I will if I'm running a 16th ounce. If I move up to an 8th, I'll usually go 8 pound. If I'm minnow rigging, we'll be using anything from 8 to 10 to 12. We've been known to do 15. It depends on the depth, it depends on the size of that weight, and it depends on the weather, and it depends on the structure. So if I'm going to push a 1 ounce sinker in some current and some heavy brush tops, and I know I'm about to be in major hang city, it don't faze me to put 20-pound line on there to keep from breaking off. Yes, sir, I'd love to be fishing 6 or 8. And yes, sir, I'd get more bites on 6 or 8. But no, sir, I'd be tying knots all day. That's what you have to find a happy medium at. You know you're going to have to fish right in the middle of some structure to get a bite in pretty clear water, 18, 22 foot of water like we do at Kentucky Lake. You got to go on up on the sides to keep from breaking off. Because I can typically get one unhung pretty easy as long as I'm dealing with just structure. But when I start dealing with somebody's broken fishing line and all sorts of things where it's been fished before and they've broken off and it's a ball of monofilament down there, and you're gonna break off. You're just not gonna be able to get it out. So more often than not, if you got a pretty good sized line, you'll be able to pull it out of there sometimes, at least. And the hook comes into play. I mentioned before all weekend that we use a 214, number 214 EL legal claw hook with live bait rigging, and that's a hook that we use 99% of the time. It's a number 214 EL. It's on those rigs. It's very hard to find in most stores. I don't know if Bass Pro has any more left. I think they probably sold out already. Somebody,
I got number 1.
they got number 1 left. You may want to check, but it's a 214 EL, extra light. We'll go to a number 1 sometimes when we get in a bigger grade of fish, like here at Grenada or Sardis or some of these Mississippi lakes, but more often than not, it'll be the number 2 size. Some people think it might maybe not be big enough. We've caught plenty of fish that'll make 3 pounds even on that little hook. So it gives your minnow the opportunity to move a lot more when you got a smaller hook and a lighter weight hook. Not to mention the fact that it'll probably bend out versus break when you're hung up. So those minnow rigs, there's a lot that went into them over the years. They're tied different according to the sinker size and the weight size. The distance between hooks will be different, but it's tied pretty precisely to fish according to the depth that's recommended on the back of that card. There's a little chart or whatever that'll kind of tell you. There's some the old card had it in it, Stevie. Well, if you got the big pack has the info on the back kind of thing, but less than 10 foot of water, either that 3/8 or 1/4 is very hard to beat. you start getting a little deeper water, 12, 15 foot of water, that half, you probably need to get going down to the half. And if you do better, deeper than that, and not a whole lot of structure, that 1 ounce, and we've even gone past that, tying her on. But those 5 sizes will catch the bulk of the water you're going to fish, without a doubt, live bait rigging. And that's our favorite way. The way it's tied with a sinker 2/3 of the way down, in my opinion, is a whole lot more functional. It's a much easier rig to get unhung when you get home than one would be with a bell sinker on the bottom, which a lot of people still use those things, and they still do very well with them. But they're very hard to dislodge when you're hung having a sinker on the bottom. And if you've tried to get it unhung a few times, you already know it's a whole lot better to have a sinker up off the bottom. You can knock that hook loose a whole lot easier. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yeah, that time of year at Kentucky Lake post-spawn, those fish, when you find some fish on a piece of structure and hit them as hard as we did, you catch them all. I mean, you're going to catch a bulk of them. And we wasn't covering an area, we was covering a particular piece of structure. So we had about week, 10 days, maybe even more than that, time to fish. And we fish daylight to dark. And we cover a lot of ground. I'm telling you, whatever encompasses the scope of the tournament waters, you can bet we've been from one end to the other. And just so happened, we had some very nice fish located in the state of Kentucky. And we also had some very nice fish located in Tennessee, way up in Tennessee. And, we picked the place that we figured would get the most pressure to get after first. And we went to that place, and then vice versa the next day. And sure enough, things kind of fell our way. Nobody found our fish. Nobody found our little spots that had the nice fish on them. And it was very easy to win the tournament when you got them found. It's just like you really wouldn't want to play the Super Bowl without a whole lot of practice, right? And being practicing every day, and taking every second to try to figure out what she's going to do against your opponent. And that's kind of what we did. We spent a lot of time now. And some of those places wasn't something we just found this year. We've known about over the years, maybe, and one of them in particular has never produced for us. Never. We have never caught even a fish that'll even way out of an area and some nice structure before. And this year it was absolutely loaded. And it was ours. Nobody found it. It was a million miles from anybody. We never seen anybody. And it was very rare to find that many fish that's clustered up that never even got caught during the spawn at all or anything. And there was a lot of remnant fish there from the nest. A lot of big old males that were still with the nest actually. And not to mention the females settled right in there with them, and they just didn't move. We had a ball. When you got that kind of place, it's pretty easy to win. So it's very rare, I'll say that, to find good structure that somebody hadn't found though. Most of the time they get hammered pretty good. You have to pick up what's left, the pieces, and cross your fingers you get enough pieces of the right size to win. But it's more competitive every year, especially with the technology that everybody's got. Yep. Any other questions, y'all? I know we're getting about to run out of time, but
Do you write a book? When you get through with your tournament, do you write it down or what?
do we write it down? Yeah.
Keep log on it?
We've been back and forth about that. We should, and it would be awesome to read, but I tell you what, there's very little that we can't remember between both of us. Steve's great at remembering what I can't remember, and if he don't remember it, sometimes I will. So that's something that's kind of been with us since way back when my grandfather commercial fished with us. And like I said, we didn't have GPS or anything, and he says, you better remember where we're, you know, this, that, whatever, how to find this place again. And yeah, it was kind of instilled in us way back in the day. And really, you put both of us together, we can remember what happened in a lot of cases. And some things you just won't ever forget, no matter how many years go by, and some you will. But
I had an older fisherman, and every time we came home from Sardis or anywhere, he would
He'd write
write
it
the
down.
time and all of
Yes.
what we did. And
Yes.
he kept it for years and years.
Yes.
And when he died, his daughter gave it to me. I think got the copy.
boy,
Same
I'm
thing.
telling you, invaluable info. Definitely a diary of what weather, even weather, a diary of weather versus you know, back in the day versus now would be a whole lot different. Things change, they sure do. And it'd be nice to read some of that. I'd love to see some of that. Any other questions, y'all, regarding anything, whatever, lakes, anything at all? Can help? No? Am I running out of time, girl? Huh? I done run my mouth too long already. 2:05. 3:05. Huh?
Time shot.
Yep. Time shop. Well, look, before I get out of here, if you're here to buy any tackle or any electronics or any equipment at all for crappie fishing, pay B&M Poles some attention. Their line of poles, what's left, is off 20% off of everything that's on the shelf. There's also some great deals from other stuff with Bass Pro. There's all kinds of product out there. It's discounted today. You probably won't find a better deal. But if you had never been a rig before, I can't tell you enough how important it is in our arsenal to catch some fish, minnow rigging. And, also, there's some videos back there. B&M's produced quite a few different DVDs on technique. It might be dock shooting or single pose fishing or even minnow rigging. We've done a section on that. You can find some of those back here as well. Some of the videos that help you out a whole lot, actually. But get rigged up and get your boat comfortable where where you need it. Get out there and number one, take note on management of that boat. Don't go on bad wind days. Take a friend fishing and go out there and have fun. You know, it's a very relaxing sport to go crappie fishing versus some of the other ones I know of. But I won't get into that either. But at least we get to sit down and not stand up all day so far. I might be standing up
What's
after
your
this.
best pole?
My number one is the BGJP. We'll have them.
Graphite.
Yep, I'll use 14s. 14-foot BGJPs. If I'm gonna, out of my boat, I'll say that. If we fish out of a smaller rig, sometimes we like to do what other people do, go down the shoreline with a 16-foot G-new I have, and just, you know, one pole and tight cover and stuff. I like a lot shorter rod. B&M also makes a wading rod for us that we enjoy doing. We used to be able to compete in tournaments actually by wading, but that's in the past now. They don't let us do that anymore. We can't get out of the boat. But actually, B&M listened to us back in the years ago and made a short wading rod to be able to get in those ironwood trees that you're talking about, and some of the thickest, sickest stuff that there is. You can't go through there with even a 10-foot pole. The 10-foot's too long. A 9 or a 7, 8, 9, that range is a good number, but it's pretty stiff. You can pull them out of them buckbrush.
Fly rod.
Yeah, well, it's stiffer than that even. It's got a pretty stiff tip to it. If you ever go wading, check them out. It's a Captain Coleman wading rod. So anyway, B&M does make a pole for about every situation. It should be great quality. Check them out if you will, and I sure do appreciate everybody coming out and listening to us. Hopefully we help you catch another fish there by what we said, maybe, or something. Yep. February the 12th. So if you're considering buying even one pole or even a set of poles, whatever, the 20% will apply all the way through February the 12th. Even if you had to make an online order, make it here, right? They can go through Bass Pro to make it. Yeah. Hey, you can't beat that. I mean, for sure. Crappie poles have come a long way. I say that when we fish cane poles, you never could tell what we're going to get, but you can definitely tell what you're picking up off the shelf these days, and count on it making some doing some business for you for sure. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna head on out of here, and I'll be around for a little bit. If I can answer any particular questions, I'll be glad to do that, and Steve will too. And
I got one question.
okay, what's the question?
Who knows what B&M stands for?
Who knows what B&M stands for?
You know?
We got
Is
one.
that it?
He got a hat on.
I read it somewhere.
B&M.
You never would believe. No.
Yeah. The company actually used to make brooms and mops way back in the day, and somehow or another they got in the bamboo business and migrated right into where they are today. So that's been a while ago. So it's a locally owned West Point, Mississippi company. Mr. Jack Wells is the president of the company. Steve and I were the first pro staff team that he ever grabbed a hold of, in hopes that we could help him sell some more poles. And without a doubt, we started with those cane poles that I was talking about. And some of the first fiberglass telescopic poles we ever used was a 10-foot B&M telescopic green. It was green, had little hand winder where you wind the line up on the pole. And we thought we were uptown when we got those 10s. But man, have we come a long ways since then. So definitely they've listened to us, and the quality of product that's out there is unbelievable compared to what we used to have. And I will never forget the day we begged Mr. Buck Simmons, which was owner of the company before Jack, to build us a pole that was longer than 12 foot long. 12 foot was the longest rod you could buy back in the day. And so just make a 13 footer. We just need the handle extended. Same pole, just please. And then we got the 14, which was night and day as far as being efficient. I can't tell you how much more efficient. I won't never forget fishing a tournament. Even the one we fished was at Reelfoot. Most everybody's still fishing with 12s, and we finally got a set of 14s. And I was fishing shallow lily pad stems, and I can't tell you how many more bites we got simply by having two foot longer pole. It was daylight and dark. I said, we done with the short poles, especially the way we were fishing. Not to mention that there's plenty of places for 12 footers and even 10 footers, 11 footers. But in our situation at that time, it made a huge difference. So since then, we've gone from 14s to 16s. There's a lot of people that stay with 16s, especially down here in the Mississippi Lakes. Past 16s, there's now a 20. There's 18s and 20s. And you need to be a pretty strong-armed guy to pull an 18 in, I'm telling you that. But knowing what we know with the Garmin, now we know why that some of those long poles are getting more bites too. It's pretty common. I mentioned it a few times already this weekend, that the Garmin is now letting us know that about 25 foot is a limit on some of these smart fish we're trying to catch. They'll let you get within about 25 and then no closer. They're trying to get away from you, and they're easing off, not scared, just keeping the distance, but about 25. Anything, they know you're there. So some of the pressured fish definitely start pulling out at about 25, and a longer rod's obviously going to get you a better bite sometimes when that's happening. So anyway, you pick your own medicine, whatever you can handle, but a 14's our favorite, best all around, no doubt. Okay, we're going to be out of here. We appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. All right. We're going to be down there the first part of March.